Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Storytime with Bowmaster. I do apologize for being a little bit late. This might not be nearly as long of a Storytime live stream as usual, but we will get to that road when we come to it, and hopefully the Wi Fi connection is strong enough to keep us going for a little bit. We will see. But tonight, we have Survival Plants of Colorado, Volume 1, by Cattail Seebeck, which is who I was with yesterday for a hike along Meadow Creek Trailhead up in Frisco, Colorado, which was a lot of fun. If you tuned in yesterday, then you saw my live stream labeled as Hiking Aftermath, which is quite interesting. And then we also have Survival Plants of Colorado Part 2, Volume 2. Now, we wound up covering around 70 to 75 different wild plants here in Colorado, up above an elevation of 9,000 feet when we went to Frisco for that particular hike. That was a very fun hike, and once I was done there, I also took a quick trip over to Breckenridge, since it's literally about 10-15 minutes away from Frisco. Like, literally, once you get to Frisco, you don't have very much farther to go until you get to Breckenridge. And while I was there, not only did I get my little map signed to prove that I have been to the Breckenridge Distillery, I went ahead and spoiled myself with this Breckenridge High Proof Blend 105. Now, if you remember, I have had on my channel several times my good friend Lord Mechanicus, who is a bit more of a spirits connoisseur, I guess you could say, than I am, a little bit more of an expert than me. And one thing that he always does whenever we go to a liquor store or a distillery or anything like that is he does what he calls the moonshiner's test. That's where he will take a bottle like this, and he will give it a gentle shake to stir up some bubbles, and then we see how quickly the bubbles dissipate. Now, if you will watch this bottle, see how quickly the bubbles disappear? Now, you don't want to give it so hard of a shake that it really gets bubbled up, but you can clearly see just how fast those bubbles go away. And that is an indicator of just how good the bottle itself is. Now, I might not be having too terribly much of that tonight, simply because I have had a little bit earlier tonight. And for those of you that don't know, 105 is a fairly high proof. I mean, 105 isn't too terribly far from 151. Still definitely a difference, but let's see. 75.5% is 151, and 105 is 52.5. So, about 23% difference. Exactly 23% difference. And of course, my cask strength whiskey is even stronger than the high proof blend because it is 62.57, if I'm reading that correctly. But there you go. So I will go ahead and do a little bit of that. And I will also go ahead and read a few items out of the survival books. Now, as far as the ones that we covered yesterday, I cannot remember every single one that we covered because, like I said, we did cover quite a few. But I can read a few of these out of here, just so you get a bit of an idea of what we did cover. Let's see. Hi, Bobo. Who wants to say hi to Belle? Say hi, Belle. Hey, Belle, what are you doing? Say hi. Yeah, she's a good girl. She was happy because her kids were here this weekend. She's always happy to see them. Quite honestly, I should have been doing what the other hikers were doing yesterday and actually circling the different ones that we covered yesterday while on the hike. But As usual, I brought way too much stuff with me and wasn't able to actually keep track of it all. But we did cover quite a bit. We covered juniper, of course. I think we might have covered Indian tea. Gonna think what you did. We covered huckleberry, horsetail. We didn't see any horehound. We covered holly grape, which holly grape is actually quite tasty. You know what? Screw it. Let's go to page 24 and I can show you a little bit about hollyberry. Ah, here we go. Now, as you can see right here, I don't know why I was saying hollyberry. I apologize for that, but this is holly grape. See the sharp serrated leaves, the berries, which are actually quite small, the flowers, and then more of the plant itself. And as you can see, Cattail's fingers are in here, so that can give you an accurate gauge of just how large the plant itself is. And he jokingly said that my book is the only one that gives you the finger, so to speak. So the holly grape is a member of the barberry family, which is Berberium repens. I hope I said that right. My Latin isn't very good. Other names is Oregon grape, creeping barberry, and creeping mahonia. Elevation is between 5,000 to 10,000 feet, which obviously we were at. It has a very sour taste to it, but it's good sour taste. Hello, Louisa Lewis. Nice to see you here. I see Dave was back in here at about 5:30, which was way before I started recording. Let's see. Microhabitat, mountainous terrain throughout Colorado. So if you're above 5,000 feet elevation and you're in a wild area, it's actually not that hard to spot. Pine forest, especially ponderosa pine. I apologize that I mispronounced that. Description. Perennial, native, evergreen, xerophytic, ornamental, height to 18 inches, low growth habitat. Woody stem, yellow-colored wood, yellow-colored clusters, which as you can see in the picture right here of the flower clusters, the root itself also is yellow, actually. Compound leaves, leaflets 1 to 2 inches long, few spines along leaf margins and pale undersides. Fruit is dark blue and ripe, 1/4 inch width, and covered with a whitish bloom, giving it a frosted look. Seeds are small and soft. Holly grape is found growing in colonies or solitary, which we saw a little bit of both while we were up there. Winter leaf colors are reddish purple, usually a few red leaves year-round. Fruit production is erratic in our region. Like most fruit, some years are better than others. And this year in Colorado, berries have actually been very good. This has been an extremely good year for berries, thanks to the fact that during spring we didn't have any late frosts that wound up killing off the flowers of the different various fruit-bearing plants, such as the holly grape. Key ID features: low-growing herb with holly-like leaves, evergreen, actually purplish, through the winter. Yellow spring flowers mature into clusters of green, then bluish, spherical, ovoid fruits. Let's see. Used for edibility. Fruits have a strong sour flavor, which they do, and they are actually quite good. In my opinion, if you were to mix the holly grape with rose hips, you would actually have a very good combination there, because rose hips on their own are actually very bland and don't have much of a taste at all. By the way, do not eat the seeds in rose hips. They have hairs on them that are one of the key ingredients of itching powder. And you can imagine how that would be very irritating throughout your neck and your entire digestive tract. But if you were to mix holly grape with rosehip or any other type of berry or plant that's a little bland, a little less flavorful, that would add one heck of a good sharp kick to it to give it more, to make it more palatable, so to speak. They make good jelly, syrup, wine, lemonade, gelatin, sauce, and fruit leather when combined with other fruits. Medicinal. A GI tract tonic and stomach bitter for hangovers, constipation, and liver stimulation. Also an antipyretic for fevers and inflammation. I cannot read tonight. Chopped dried root, 1 tablespoon, boiled in 1 quart of water for 10 minutes, sipped all day. The yellower the root, the stronger the herb. The yellower the root, the stronger the herb. For hepatitis flare-ups, holly grape roots and toadflax herb, 1 tablespoon of each, identical preparation and dose. Best fruit harvest usually below 9,000 feet. Other barberry species appear similar, except Berberis fendleri. They display a much larger shrubbery growth habit and are found in southern and western Colorado. Identical uses. So that was just one, and you can see just how lengthy of a description this plant actually has on its own. And that's just one of the ones that we covered. We also covered several more. We didn't see any prickly poppy up there, sadly. But honestly, if you live in Colorado, these are the best damn books you can possibly get when it comes to identifying plants. Oh, watercress. We covered watercress. Tansy mustard is another one we covered, which is one that I was able to identify in our challenge after the hike was... Well, after we'd made it most of the way up the hike, I should say. We didn't see any garlic mustard. Wow. The sad part is this is actually my first time actually seeing through this book. Ah, we ran into gooseberry while we were up there. I don't think we saw any hawthorn plants, sadly. But we did, however, see serviceberry. That's one that we saw up there. And we also saw potentilla. Wait, did we see potentilla? I don't remember if we saw potentilla or not. I think it was another one that was P. Ah! Wild rose. That is a very good one. That's one I was talking about just a moment ago. Wild rose. And as you can see here, these are the red bits that happen once the wild rose has died. Well, the petals, I should say, have fallen off. Those are what are known as rose hips. Let's see. Note, fresh, ripe rose hips are the most potent wild source of vitamin C in the Rockies. 1 rose hip will provide about 500 milligrams of vitamin C. Drying and heating reduces vitamin C in the hips. So basically, it's best to eat them raw and fresh. Which, again, they are very bland. They don't have much of a flavor to them. They have a very small bit of a chalky feel to them almost. So if you can mix them with holly grape or huckleberry or some other kind of berry that is edible that you find up in the Rockies along with them, that will make them much more palatable. And at least where we were on the Meadow Creek Trailhead, I said that completely backwards, they were extremely plentiful. We literally almost couldn't go about 3 feet without seeing them. Elevation 3,500 to 11,000 feet. There's quite a bit of... This is really the most descriptive book you can possibly hope to get for plants in Colorado. Ah, strawberry. We saw plenty of wild strawberry up there too, but unfortunately there weren't any that were actually doing fruit at the time. Didn't run into any clover. We didn't see any sorrels either, unfortunately. Poison ivy. Thank God we didn't run into any of that. Well, shoot, I'm just going to have to sit down and actually look through these books when I have some time to them. I didn't realize, I know full well, when I first bought them, just how many plants were listed throughout these books. Throughout both of them, we have approximately 500 plants between the two of these books. So, this is a heck of a lot of information, and quite honestly, a lot of these can be found outside of Colorado as well, because these are plants of the Rocky Mountains. So, while I don't think you necessarily find every single one of them along the Rockies, you can find a fair amount of them throughout the Rocky Mountains. Now, I wish I would have taken some video or some photo evidence while we were up on the trail yesterday, but I was so enthralled with trying to learn this, and the fact that my sorry butt is completely out of shape, that I was huffing and puffing most of the way, that I didn't do a lot of recording. But, it is what it is. If I get a chance to go back up to Frisco at some point before fall really sets in, I will go ahead and do some recording of me looking for some of these plants and hopefully being able to identify some of them, show you just what they are like. One of the ones that was one of the first ones we covered was actually bluebell. They have fairly large leaves, and according to Cattail Bob, they taste a lot like mushroom when you eat them. Now, I personally cannot verify that simply because I am allergic to mushrooms and I actually cannot eat them. So as far as taste is concerned, I couldn't tell you. They were somewhat bland and a little bit bitter, but not bad. When those were mixed with bittercress, on the other hand, they were actually quite good. Bittercress is a member of the mustard family. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thumbs to pop. Ooh, there we go. But bittercress is a member of the mustard family, and it has a fairly pungent horseradish flavor to it. It has kind of a horseradish wasabi aftertaste. So you mix some bluebell with some bittercress, maybe a little fireweed in there. You have the starting of a fairly good wild salad. So I know I didn't read through very much, but as I did say, dinner is going to be ready fairly soon. And I don't have a lot of time to go over these. Next Monday, when I have more time, I will gladly read through some more of the plants in these books, because I'm just as excited as you guys are to actually learn about these, because this is something I've been wanting to do for years now. Ever since I got into the idea of being a survivalist, I've always wanted to learn more about plants in general. I wanted to learn more about botany. Oh, how ironic. I just opened a fireweed, one of the plants I was just talking about. Fireweed is actually very easy to identify. And we were seeing a bunch of it while we were up there. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up fairly soon. Before I do, I'm going to go ahead and give you a very brief tasting of Breckenridge 105. This is one of my personal favorites from the Breckenridge Distillery. Though my personal favorite is actually what is holding my tablet up right now, which is the Breckenridge Spiced Rum. Man, that smells good. A little hint of caramel. Surprisingly, with this one, a little bit of a maple syrup smell, actually. Now, as this is 105, it's much stronger than your typical whiskey, and since I, again, have food coming up soon, I'm not going to drink very much, but I will go ahead and give you a brief taste and toast, saying, welcome back to Storytime. I hope to be picking this up again very soon, next Monday, hopefully. And I will leave you with a very brief tasting of 105. Now that we got into a bit more open vessel, a little bit of an earthy note to it. Caramel, of course, as is present with most bourbons. Even though I don't think this one technically is considered a bourbon. I think this one is considered to be just a whiskey. There's still that very slight maple syrup smell. Smoky, of course. Mm. Surprisingly smooth for being a 105. You can feel that warmness all the way down. And the taste is actually, I wouldn't necessarily say mild, but it's not overpowering either. Has that nice classic whiskey kind of taste. Quality whiskey, I should say, because we all know that cheaper whiskeys are not exactly the best in the world. Overall, somewhat mild. Subtle flavoring. Mm. Mm. Even shooting this one, it's not that bad. Mm. Mild note of vanilla. Earthy, a little bit woody. Has a bit of a sweet note to it. You know, that probably is the smell of the maple syrup I was getting earlier. I will do a much more in-depth review of this later on when I have a little bit more time. And who knows, maybe I'll go ahead and do a tasting of it along with Lord Mechanicus or my buddy Monkey. Either way, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this live stream up here. Bit of a quicker story time than we usually do, so I do apologize for that, but you know how things go. I'm not going to keep making up excuses. I'm just going to say it is what it is. And next week, tune in again so we can go through a little bit more of Survival Plants of Colorado, Volumes 1 and 2. I look very forward to sharing these with you guys in the future, and if I can make it back up into the mountains soon, I hope to be able to record myself actually feasting on some of these plants and reading through the descriptions and such of them for you guys. So, until next time, this is Bowmaster619 out. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight. Thank you for your patience in me taking my sweet time to get videos uploaded again. But until next time, as always, drive safe, stay safe, never stop learning, and I will see you guys in the next video. Philip from Daddy Daughter Broadcasting, if you see this in the future, I hope to hear from you soon. Always love watching your videos. Lewis, I have not had a chance to watch your videos recently, but I plan to watch them very soon. I have seen some of yours in the past, and they are always hilarious. And Tessa Calloway, Blue, if you guys are watching this in post, shout out to you guys as well. I hope everything is turning out better for you. Shout out to everyone who has supported me this long, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.